Okay, hi again students. This is Biology Form 4 Chapter 13. We continue another subtopic 13.2 Urinary System. The human urinary system plays an important role in homeostasis. So before this we have learned what is homeostasis. Urinary system is made up of kidneys, ureters, bladder and urethra. So this is the human urinary system. We have kidney, ureter, the bladder and urethra. Okay, and then this is the renal artery, the red one, renal artery, and the blue one here is renal vein. The functions of urinary system is to excrete nitrogenous compound waste such as urea, as well as to regulate the volume of body fluid, blood osmotic pressure, ion concentration in body fluid, electrolyte content and blood pH. Okay, structure and functions of the kidney. The kidney consists of cortex and medulla. Urine that is formed in the kidney will flow into the pelvis. So this is cortex, this is the medulla, and here is the pelvis. Okay. Kidney have two main functions. The first one excretion, the second one osmoregulation. So as an excretory organ, kidney excrete toxic wastes such as urea, uric acid, ammonia and creatinine. So as an osmoregulatory organ, kidneys will control the total volume of water in body fluids, control the concentrations of ions in body fluid, control the blood osmotic pressure, which is the concentrations of dissolved materials and volumes of blood and body fluid, and also control the electrolyte content and pH of blood and also body fluids. So this is urinary system and cross sections of kidneys. Here the red one here, this is renal artery, carries oxygenated blood from heart to the kidneys. Okay, and here the blue one is the renal vein, carries the deoxygenated blood from the kidney back to the heart. And here is the ureter. The urine produced will flow to the bladder through ureter. Formations of urine. There are three major processes involved in the productions of urine. The first one, ultrafiltration. Second one, reabsorption. And third one, secretion. Okay, nephron. What is nephron? Each kidney is made up of millions of functional units called nephron. So this is the structure of nephron. Yang warna pink ni. Ini adalah nephron. Each nephron is made up of the following structure: the Bowman's capsule, the glomerulus, and also renal tubule. So this is Bowman's capsule. Sini ya, Bowman's capsule. Sini. Okay, and then this is glomerulus. This is the glomerulus. And also renal tubule. So renal tubule composed of proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, and distal convoluted tubule. So this is the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle sini, distal convoluted tubule. So itu semua adalah renal tubule. So loop of Henle di sini is a long U-shaped tubule that extend to the renal medulla, and the distal convoluted tubule, so several nephron, join together into a collecting duct. And then the produced urine will flow from the collecting duct into the ureter. So this is structure of nephron and urine formation. So we look at this indicator first. Indicator, this is arrow for blood flow. Okay, this one flow of the filtrate. Green arrow passive transport, yellow active transport, blue osmosis. And this is water, this is glucose and amino acid, and this is urea. Okay, so the first one, this one, the first step, ultrafiltrations in Bowman's capsule. So this is renal artery. Look at the blood flow. Okay, renal artery, the blood entering the glomerulus. Okay, this is the blood entering the glomerulus. This is glomerulus. Is under high hydrostatic pressure. Okay, because the diameter of the afferent arteriole here is larger than the diameter of the efferent arteriole. So this pressure causes ultrafiltration to occur. That is, the fluid seeps through the wall of the glomerulus, okay, glomerulus capillaris into the cavity of Bowman capsule. Nampak ni? Semua ini adalah flow of filtrate. Yang arrow warna hitam ni, black arrow, itu adalah the flow of filtrate. Maksudnya, from the glomerulus, the fluid seeps through the wall of glomerulus capillaris into the Bowman capsule. The fluid that enter the Bowman's capsule is known as glomerular filtrate. The glomerular filtrate has the same compositions as blood plasma, but does not contain red blood cells, platelets, and plasma protein. The red blood cells and plasma protein remain in the blood flowing to the efferent arteriole di sini. Efferent arteriole. Okay, because the size of red blood cell, plasma protein itu semua adalah too large to seep out of the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule. So dia ikut saja flow of the blood lah. Okay. Next one, number 2 here. Reabsorptions at the proximal convoluted tubule. This is proximal convoluted tubule. Reabsorptions of the glomerular filtrate occur along the renal tubule. The dissolved substances permeate across the renal tubula into the blood capillary network. In the proximal convoluted tubule, here, sodium ion, nampak ni, this is sodium ion, actively pump into the blood capillary network, and chloride ion, here, chloride ion, are passively absorbed. Okay, the reabsorptions of 100% glucose and amino acid also occur through active transport. Di sini ya, glucose dengan amino acid. So di sini reabsorptions berlaku daripada proximal convoluted tubule, dia balik diserap semula masuk ke dalam kapilari darah. So the movements of dissolved substances into the blood capillary network reduces the concentrations of dissolved substances in the glomerular filtrate. But this will increase the concentrations of dissolved substances in the blood capillaries. So as a result, water enters the blood capillaries through osmosis. Maksudnya, reabsorptions of water also happen here. Okay. So number 3, this is number 3, reabsorptions at the loop of Henle and distal convoluted tubule. In the loop of Henle, water is reabsorbed di sini ya, through osmosis. Sodium ions are also reabsorbed through active transport, okay, and also chloride ion, passive transport. In the distal convoluted tubule, more water, sodium, and chloride ion are reabsorbed. Nampak ni di sini. Di sini penyerapan semula air, sodium ion, chloride ion lebih banyak di distal convoluted tubule. Okay, the amount of water and salt reabsorbed depends on water and salt content in the blood. Okay, and then number 4, di sini number 4, secretion. Okay, secretion. This is the process of secreting waste materials in the blood that were not filtered earlier in the renal tubules. The process is opposite to the process of reabsorption. Okay, kalau reabsorption daripada ni dia keluar ke kapilari darah. Okay, tetapi secretion ini dia masuk dia masuk ke dalam sebab kita mau buang dia. Okay, we want, ini adalah waste material kita mau buang. Okay, so dia akan masuk ke dalam tubule. Okay, secretion occurs along the renal tubule and collecting duct, but is most active at the distal convoluted tubule. Secretions occur through simple diffusions and active transport. Substances that are secreted include, okay, di sini kita ada, what is this? Potassium ion, hydrogen ion, urea, okay, apa lagi? Toxic substances and other drugs. So secretion get rid of toxic wastes and help to regulate the levels of ion in the blood. And last one, number 5, urine formation. When the renal fluid reaches the collecting duct, only a small amount of salts are left, and most of the water has been absorbed back into the bloodstream. The remaining renal fluid is now called as urine. The urine will flow down the collecting duct, and here a small amount of urea, okay, this one, urea, diffuse out into the surrounding fluid and blood capillaries due to its small molecular size. So urine contains water, urea, sodium chloride salt, uric acid, and creatinine. So after leaving the collecting duct, Urine flows through the ureter, bladder, and then urethra, and finally the urine will be excreted. So these are the steps. The first one, ultrafiltrations in Bowman's capsule. Number 2, reabsorptions at the proximal convoluted tubules. Number 3, reabsorptions at the loop of Henle and distal convoluted tubules. Number 4, secretion. And number 5 is the urine formation and excretion lah. Okay, mechanisms of homeostasis and osmoregulation. The body's water content constantly changes, depends on the intake of food and drinks. Osmoregulation is the process of regulating water and salts in the body so that the blood osmotic pressure can be maintained at the normal range. Osmoregulation is achieved by regulating the volume of urine produced by the kidney. Okay, so this is the osmoregulations of blood osmotic pressure. Okay, this is our normal blood osmotic pressure. Normal blood osmotic pressure. When we drink too much water, what happen? Our blood osmotic pressure will drop below normal range. Osmoreceptor in the hypothalamus are less stimulated. Okay, less stimulated. So the pituitary gland also less stimulated. So less ADH hormone is secreted from the pituitary gland. So low ADH hormone concentration will cause the walls of the distal convoluted tubule and the walls of collecting duct to become less permeable to water. So what happened? Less water is reabsorbed from the renal fluid into the blood capillary and less concentrated urine is generated in high volume. Okay, di sini air kencing akan cair dan juga high volume. So, ini akan membawa kepada blood osmotic pressure yang normal. Ini adalah negative feedback. Okay, from the blood osmotic pressure, dia akan returns normal. So what happen if we drink too little water pula? Okay, di sini tadi too much water, di sini too little water, we drink too little water, and ataupun loss of water due to vigorous activity. So what happen? Blood osmotic pressure increases above the normal range. So di sini osmoreceptor in the hypothalamus are stimulated. The pituitary gland also stimulated. So more ADH hormone secreted from the pituitary gland. So high ADH hormone concentration will cause the wall of the distal convoluted tubule and the wall of the collecting duct more permeable to water. Okay, so more water is absorbed from the renal fluid into the blood capillary. So urine that is very concentrated and low in volume is generated. So this will bring our blood osmotic pressure returns to normal. Next one, 13.3, health issues related to the urinary system. So kidney failure can be caused by illness, bacterial infections, or accidents. Diabetes mellitus is the leading cause of renal failure, followed by high blood pressure. So both these conditions damage the glomerulus. Other than that, some individual may face the problem of kidney stone formation. Okay, pembentukan batu karang. Kidney stones are hard masses made up of uric acid, calcium oxalate, or crystalline calcium phosphate. So this is the formations of kidney stone in kidney. Di sini, kidney stones. So these kidney stones block the ureter and reduce the productions of urine. So, to reduce the likelihood of kidney stone formation, we must drink a lot of water every day. So, that's all for today. We will continue next subtopic in the next video. Thank you.